everybody, and welcome to the In the Bullseye Podcast. I'm voice of the Bulls, Paul Peck, with University at Buffalo, Director of Athletics, Mark Alnutt. Maybe we should rename this It's a Great Day to Be a Bull podcast.
I like that.
Because as we record this, you're coming off 3 wins by football and basketball in the last 3 days, and an incredible run right now by all of your teams.
Yes.
Can you feel a little bit of energy around this place?
Plenty of energy. I mean, you love this time of year when you have that crossover between fall sports and winter sports. And I mentioned this to our cabinet, our presidential cabinet, the other day about the past week. Every sport competed in a competition with the exception of softball. Every sport. So you're talking, cross country, tennis, obviously what we're doing in the fall, what we're gearing up for the winter. So it's fun. It's fun to be a Bull right now. And it's even more fun, obviously for us and our fans, and just see the hard work that our kids put in on a day-to-day basis when, the results of those competitions are wins. And I know we'll talk kind of through the gamut of, some of the successes that we've had and forecast some of the seasons, but it's definitely a good day to be a Bull.
Yes, it is. All right, well, let's start with the most immediate results, which was, again, as we record this the night before the season opens for both the men's and the women's basketball teams in the MAC Sun Belt Challenge. The men go on the road and win at Old Dominion on a buzzer beater by Tyson Dunn. The women at home, a great battle between a really good Troy team, and they come up with a 2-point win. So let's start with the women because they were home.
Yeah.
That was a really fun game, and I know some coaches will probably tell you, I want to slide into the season with a couple of games that I can get my feet under myself. But, man, the opposite was true, and I think there are some benefits for Becky Burke to have her team being pushed as hard as they were in the season opener.
So I'm one of the ones that's in favor of this MAC Sun Belt Challenge because, to your point, each program opens up with a quality opponent, from the respective conference. And then you have another, opponent, which you switch, the sites in February. So, again, it's something that, you prepare for this game that is, obviously an outstanding matchup between two conferences. So, for me, with the women tipping off at 6, I sat down in my seat. Normally I try to find a seat baseline, like to be close to the bench, taking in all the action. And at the end of the half, I needed a 20-second timeout. Oh, holy cow. I mean, the pace was back and forth. And, the good thing about this team that first half was, they battle back and forth. You start off being down by 9, you take the lead, and it's back and forth. We kind of down by 2 at half. But what I like about this team, and Paul, I know you talk about it quite a bit when you're there as doing a great job being our play-by-play, but just how they play, the energy that they bring to the court, the high quality on both sides of the ball, defense, offense. You like watching what Chella Watson do, but I think this year, more so than Becky's first 2 years, is you have some depth now where, you can rotate some players in at all positions and they can contribute at a high level. So that was fun to watch. So for me, gosh, Mark, what are you doing as AD when you have, a game of that caliber and then you got the men tipping off, down in Virginia at Old Dominion. So it worked out perfectly. I go up to my office at halftime. I turn on the ESPN Plus, broadcast and I watch that half of it while I am staying, focused on my phone in terms of what's happening in Alumni Arena. So once we get to half there and we have a lead there, I come back and it's fourth quarter with about, 3 minutes left. And you talk about drama.
Yeah.
Those last 3, but they found a way. They found a way, whether it was through defense, whether it was, making whatever key shot needed to be made. And, we walked away with the victory. And then after that's over, I go back up to my office.
Back to the office.
Let's turn this on. Let's watch what's happening. And you know what? They battled, extended the lead, kind of very similar to our women. Got behind late, and Tyson Dunn. I mean, those are it's a name that a lot of our people weren't familiar with, but I tell you, they're going to be very familiar with Tyson Dunn, who's a grad transfer for us. He spent his career up in Canada, but I saw today that the first player in the men's basketball program since Nathan Williams in 2021 that led the team in scoring, assist, and rebound.
Yeah, and Josh Wetzel on the broadcast had a great stat. It's the first double-double where the second double was assists by a Bull since Javon Graves about 5 years ago.
It's two good names there that we just rattled off right there.
You know, and again, and as George Halkovich is rebuilding this team, a lot of young players, a lot of new players, you know, again, I want to ask you, how significant can a win on the road, pushed the way they were, winning at the buzzer? I mean, we'll ultimately find out, but in your thoughts, like, how much can that be a bit of a defining win?
Confidence. You got a team that's coming off 4 wins, relatively new team, a lot of new faces. You have 4 mainstays that came back from last year's team. You know, you didn't get the win, the exhibition at Damon, so you go on the road at a great environment. About 5,000 people were in attendance down there, and you get the win. So from a confidence standpoint, but as I look at both programs, and both coaches are doing it the right way, their way. You know, when you look at what George inherited last year, and you know how he worked through that, and then you know how he built this roster, you know, this year with guys that you know want to be here in Buffalo, guys that kind of fit his system. And one thing I even shared with him after the Damon game, and you know, even watching what I could from the game last night, is just you know a complete team effort. You know, a team effort. You know, they're bringing energy to both sides of the ball. You know, you can see that they're kind of bought into what they have to do. Now, again, they're going to make mistakes. It's going to be a young team. It's just the first game. There's plenty of work to be done, but for them to go on the road, anywhere on the road, and get that road win, that's a huge deal.
All right, everybody gets a chance to see both teams. Doubleheader on Friday here at Alumni Arena. The women take on Buffalo State at 6. The men will take on Fredonia State somewhere a little after 8:30. You know, a great opportunity for both teams to continue to build on what we saw on Monday.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You know, I always love the doubleheaders, especially a Friday night doubleheader where, you know, ladies first, and, you know, they play Buff State, and then the men with Fredonia. You know, I hope I look up and I see the broadcast booth. I don't want you going over to the student line and trying to grab that UB-themed pillowcase.
Oh.
You know, and grab a couple of those for, you know, the nice, you know, the California king-size bed that you have in your house, and grab a couple of those pillows. So
I feel like a nap between the two games might be something I could use.
You know, just something for the students, something to get them here,
great.
which would be good. So, you know, obviously they have that doubleheader, and we move on with that.
All right, so that's the basketball story, and the first of the wins that we talked about 3 in 3 days came from the football team on Saturday at Akron. The victory over the Zips puts the Bulls at 5-4, 3-2 in the MAC. 1 win away from bowl eligibility. It was a bit nerve-wracking as far as football games. We should all know better when in the world of MACtion that a 38-7 lead is not when you get comfortable, but it was a good, gritty win by Pete Lembo's team, and they continue to position themselves not only to get to that bowl, but with some games coming up here that they'll have a chance to win, maybe even a trip to Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously one game at a time, but if you look back at that Akron game, you see, you know, turnovers made a difference, and you know, our defense got after, you know, forced the ball into our hands a couple times, you know, a couple key 4-and-outs, you know, as well. And, you know, I like the development and growth of CJ, you know, in terms of what his role last year was, and then how he's developed from, you know, spring ball to the preseason, where, you know, he's definitely that dual threat type of quarterback. He's making some outstanding throws. Our receivers, when you lose, you know, someone like Nick McMillan, you know, for the year, and, you know, we have some others that are somewhat banged up, but you have some other guys that are stepping up and making those big catches. And, you know, what can't you say about what Sean Dolak's doing as a leader of the defense, and being the second person in UB history to be a semifinalist for the Butkus Award behind one other guy, some guy named Khalil Mack, where, you know, don't really know what he did, but no, jokingly, we know what Khalil did.
He actually passed Khalil on the all-time tackles list. Now, Khalil's plays weren't necessarily tackle quantities,
sure,
but to see anybody like leap ahead of Khalil is like, that makes you notice.
Yeah, and so when you see that, and you know, obviously, you know, he being you know, local, and just the impact that he's making, and what he also does, and his character that he brings outside the field too. So, you know, to go there, get a win, and, you know, obviously some tense moments there. I was not in attendance. I was actually back here for my son Mason's senior day. So, as I was watching his game and being present, with the family there, I'm, watching the CBS Sports app and feeling very comfortable. And then all of a sudden I looked down like, wait a second, it was this and that, and then watched the end of it. So, kudos to them, and really, all of our goals are still in play that Pete laid out. But it also starts with, having, great practices, great preparation, for a Ball State team that, they put up some points, very similar to a team that we faced against Western Michigan. So that's going to be a big game for us. And I also say this, I get, ticket reports weekly basis, and I really want to thank, our fans and our supporters who have been coming to our games. Our attendance has increased, around 20% from last year. Student attendance has increased, at a greater clip from last year. So when MACtion comes around, I know it's, people, it's not your typical Saturday type of kickoff. It's Tuesday night, but, for folks to come at these national televised games and be able to support the Bulls. And we've also been very fortunate with weather.
Yeah.
I mean, this year we've been very fortunate.
It's been amazing at every game so far.
It looks like
and I don't think the early forecast for the 12th looks too bad at the moment, right?
No.
So again, that's the next game for the Bulls. It's here on Tuesday the 12th. It's the Lem Bowl. How could you not want to come out to the Lem Bowl as Pete takes on his former team in Ball State?
Why does that not surprise me? You already titled the game, and it's a perfect title to that game.
We titled that one like in March.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, so, and again, if the Bulls do a lot of good things, maybe someone will do the Lembo leap as well. See, I don't
maybe for folks that don't have the athleticism, maybe just do the limbo. Just get a little pole, and I can just go under like this. Why not?
Yeah. So, and again, it's a big game, and the Bulls are playing great right now. So that is the 12th, Tuesday the 12th. A little bit of MACtion here in Buffalo. All right. You also mentioned everything is going on right now. Wrestling has gotten their season started. They had their first meet this past weekend under new head coach Donnie Vincent. There's a different energy as well with the wrestling squad.
No, there is. Been very pleased. Just in my conversations and just observing, the program in terms of how he's developing, how he's coaching, how he's teaching. He's pleased with several results from the Clarion Open. They're going to be back in Pennsylvania this weekend, I believe Saturday or Sunday, in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, to wrestle more. But that's a program which I'm excited to follow, and in terms of how he's building that program from the foundation. Bringing in, his type of wrestlers to really complement the existing roster. It's going to be exciting to watch, and I'm fired up for that program.
November 17th is the next home meet. Army and Purdue will come here to Alumni Arena to take on Donnie's wrestling squad. Volleyball continues to get better and better under Scott Smith, having another outstanding season, coming off a sweep over Northern Illinois. Big test this week against Ohio, right where they want to be to position themselves for the MAC tournament.
Yeah, I mean, Scott's one of those coaches that when you look at kind of all facets of a program, what he's been able to do from a competitive standpoint, the last 4 years, it's been on an upward trajectory. Have been able to achieve some things that this program has never achieved at the Division I status. Being able to make the tournament, being able to advance in the tournament, being able to play not yet an NCAA tournament, but being able to play in that National Volleyball Invitational, which is very equivalent to the NIT would be on the men's basketball side of things. So very excited for that program. Got two big wins, against against Northern Illinois this past weekend. And you have two more matches that are left. So, we'll see how it all plays out. But, I firmly believe that they'll end up someplace second or third, in the MAC, which is great, for us. If we get that second spot in the MAC, we get a bye in the tournament. If it's third, we have to kind of battle in there, which – I know this team's going to battle.
All right, speaking of second, that's where the women's soccer team has finished the regular season. They will be the number 2 seed. They get a bye through later in the week. Sunday against Ohio will be the matchup out in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And again, Sean Burke continues just to do an outstanding job here. And they had a chance to be the number 1 seed in the MAC. Just came up a little short, but number 2 seed with a bye is a pretty good place to be.
Yeah, because, again, soccer is a grueling sport, especially in the lakes, all the running around that you have to do. So for us to get that bye week and being able to, for us to get that bye in the tournament and being able to save our legs, somewhat, and be able to see, go into that semifinals, which is going to be
Thursday.
against
I said it wrong. I
Yep.
apologize. I wrote it down wrong.
It's going to be
Thursday
at
against
11
Ohio.
a.m. At Ohio. So that's an opportunity, again, ESPN Plus match to be able to watch and support them. They win that match, and then the championship match is the winner between Western Michigan, who's the 1 seed, and Kent State, I believe, who is a higher seed. That championship game will be at 1 o'clock. So again, opportunity for us to, very similar to volleyball, kind of how football's in the mix, to really position ourselves for a MAC championship.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. And again, Sean Burke did another outstanding job, and congratulations.
And I
got
to say, let's do a shout out to Lexi Thompson, being the goalkeeper of the year.
There you
go.
go.
I mean, that's a no-brainer if you've seen her. I mean, I think her nickname's the Wall. Nothing gets past her.
It's a great goalkeeper nickname.
Yeah, it's great.
Good. Cross country as well, as we, like you said, the only sport's not going on right now is softball. So let's mention cross country as well.
They had their championship this past weekend. The men finished 4th. The women were about 10th, but it was good for them to get out there and compete and do the best that they can at Ball State. So for them, they'll quickly transition to indoor season, which there'll be a meet or two prior to winter break, and then they'll come back and they'll get it going full time with indoor in January, and then that will transition to outdoor. So that's a sport that, they're competitors throughout the entire year.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, there's just everything that we had a chance to talk about is positive.
Can't forget about women's tennis.
And pointing up.
Women's tennis.
There you go.
They hosted Invitational.
I will hear from Kristen if I
Yes, exactly. I will hear from Kristen if I don't mention, women's tennis. No, she does a great job. Her and Small do a great job. And, they have a lot of new faces on the team. They have, a couple seniors on the team. They had their invitational this weekend with several schools from the Northeast area, and from what I hear, ended up doing very well. So that's an opportunity for them to kind of build off this experience this fall, and really when you get in the championship segment, so to speak, in the spring, to build upon this momentum.
Yeah, so there's just so much good, cool stuff going on right here around UB, and we certainly, invite everybody out there to come out to alumni, come out to any of the venues, just be a part of all the fun energy going on right now. All right, we always like to talk to you about what's going on in the world of college football, because you are the head of the Football Oversight Committee, which is essentially determines a lot of things in the sport, and there's always things changing. Every time you and I get together, there's like 4 more things that have happened since the last time we did this. So what's the latest there? And I know that the CFP rankings will come out later tonight as we record this as well, and people will start to get a feel for where we might be headed with the playoff.
Well, there's a couple things we're working on, but I think the main thing that's going to have a lot of interest for our fans, for folks like yourself, is the week 0 concept. Right now with college football, there's a week 0 that takes place the weekend prior to Labor Day weekend. Okay, and you have that opportunity, and it's always these exemptions in terms of who can play in it, right? If there's
there's usually about 6 or 7 or 8 games.
Television opportunity, something else. People request it. Sometimes they're denied. There's that Hawaii exception if some team's playing Hawaii to get this. So, we're just trying to clean that up a little bit and just make it really permissive, for any school.
Do you think it will become more a part of the season, or you're trying to keep it? You're trying to keep it away from.
I think it's going to become more a part of the season, where it's going to be permissive for if institution A and institution B, if they have a game that's already scheduled for, say, week 1, and you know what? Hey, let's move this down to week 0. Could there be a television opportunity? Maybe not. But really, that's what we're looking at doing, being able to open that up more. And I think it also could benefit, conferences as well, with pending television contracts that are happening, television contracts being negotiated. Could a conference say, hey, you know what, on week 0, we want to say for the MAC, for example, we want to play, a couple of our conference games, on week 0. They can be nationally televised, opens up inventory from a television partner standpoint. We can create some pretty special matchups, and maybe it doesn't have to be at a home site. Maybe we can kick off something for the MAC in Canton, Ohio, and have a game down there that's televised by ESPN or Matt Walford's favorite, CBS Sports. One of the two can be able to televise us there. But again, I think just those opportunities, not necessarily they're saying there's going to be a shift from, hey, all the week one games are now going to be week 0, week 2 going to be week 1. But are there some opportunities from a schedule standpoint that it might make some sense to move one of our games in the future, maybe FCS game, to that week 0, and then play that game and then give you an extra week to kind of prepare for maybe that guarantee game, or maybe there's a nice home and home matchup that we feel that maybe we need to spend a little more attention prepping for this game.
All right. Always stuff going on in the college football world, right?
Yes,
Never
yes.
slows
Never
down,
slows
does it?
down.
So it never slows. Well, as we wrap this up, again, so much fun. You are the busiest man in Western New York because like you just said, there's so much going on. There's very few days in the next couple of weeks where there won't be something going on. So just pace yourself. That's all I ask of you.
And I do want to say one thing. I think, also don't want to take this for granted, but, also want to thank, all of our fans out there, all of our supporters, all of our alums that, attend games, contribute to our Blue and White Fund, and then also with just this changing NCAA landscape with name, image, and likeness. I know we've, been very, aggressive, and we're going to become even more aggressive in that name, image, and likeness standpoint to be able to help, obviously, provide more to our student athletes, to also be more competitive with our peers, whether it is, donating to our Nickel City Collective, which, you come to a contest, you go on a website, you see, how to be able to do that, or even, from the standpoint of our NIL stores where, fans, supporters, family members can go, again, to our website, the various NIL store websites that we have, and buy that Sean Dolak jersey, for example, where now Sean Dolak gets percentage of those royalties, which helps him. So again, changing world, but as we continue to grow, what we do from an NIL standpoint to support our student athletes, we need your support in that front, and again, maintain that competitiveness that we have, and that we're going to have in that space with our MAC peers. Go
out and get those Tyson Dunn jerseys. We want to see plenty of those on Friday night for the men's basketball game. Mark, appreciate the time as always. And again, if you want to bump into and say hello to Mark, pretty good chance it's right in Alumni Arena or at UB Stadium anytime over the next couple of weeks. We appreciate your time in joining us as Mark takes you inside of the University at Buffalo Bulls athletics program here on the In the Bullseye podcast.